He went on a solo hike and vanished without a trace. 5 years later, a barefoot man collapsed at a hospital, starved, scarred, and terrified of speaking without permission. The wilderness didn't break him. Someone did. And what investigators uncovered was hiding in plain sight. If you think you've heard every missing person story there is, if you believe the wilderness is always to blame when someone vanishes without a trace, then stay with me, because this case rewrites everything you think you know. Tonight's story is not about an accident. It's not about bad weather, bad footing, or bad luck. It's about a man who disappeared into America's backcountry, and 5 years later walked into a hospital barely alive, carrying a truth so disturbing it exposed a crime hidden in plain sight. As you listen, pay attention to the details. Because the smallest moments, a trail register signature, a burned scar, a locked door no one questioned, are where the truth was hiding all along. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe, because we tell the stories others are afraid to. If you believe victims deserve to be remembered, like this video so it reaches more people. And stay until the end, because the final revelation will change how you see safe places forever. This is the disappearance of Ethan Calder. On the morning of September 18, 2011, the Appalachian foothills of West Virginia were wrapped in fog so thick it blurred the tree line into a gray wall. The kind of fog locals barely noticed anymore, but visitors found unsettling. At 6:12 a.m., Ethan Calder, 26 years old, parked his rust-colored Toyota Tacoma at the Dolly Sods Wilderness Trailhead. Ethan wasn't reckless. He wasn't inexperienced. And he wasn't running from anything. He was a graduate student in wildlife conservation, known among friends as methodical to the point of obsession. His gear was labeled. His routes were mapped. His check-ins were precise. He signed the trail log in clean, block letters. Name: Ethan Calder. Route: Upper Red Creek Loop. Solo hike. Expected return: 5 p.m. At 6:27 a.m., he started up the trail. By noon, Ethan texted his sister. "Fog's unreal. Feels like the world ends 10 feet away." That message would be the last anyone ever received from him. By sunset, his truck was still there. By midnight, search and rescue was activated. By morning, Ethan Calder was gone. Search teams flooded Dolly Sods within 24 hours. Dogs tracked Ethan's scent for nearly 9 miles, until it stopped dead near a creek crossing. No signs of a struggle. No blood. No torn gear. Just silence. Helicopters scanned the forest canopy. Volunteers combed ravines. Rangers rappelled into sinkholes. They found only one thing: a compass, snapped cleanly in half, lying on a flat rock, as if placed there. Investigators quietly leaned toward the obvious explanation. Another hiker lost to the wilderness. By 2013, Ethan Calder was declared legally dead. His parents buried an empty coffin. Time moved on. Flyers faded. Social media posts stopped. Friends stopped checking. But someone was watching the years pass, counting them. 5 years later, on November 2, 2016, a man collapsed in the emergency entrance of Cabell Huntington Hospital in Huntington, West Virginia. He was barefoot, underweight, covered in scars. And when a nurse asked his name, he whispered, I used to be Ethan." Hospital staff thought he was delusional, until fingerprints came back. Ethan Calder, declared dead, missing since 2011. But the body told a story no wilderness ever could. Restraint scars on ankles and wrists. Cigarette burns along his ribs. Malnutrition patterns consistent with years, not weeks. Muscle atrophy from prolonged confinement. Ethan hadn't survived the wilderness. He had been kept. 4 days, Ethan barely spoke. When he did, he asked permission to sit. to drink, to sleep. A forensic psychologist noticed something chilling. Ethan wasn't afraid of pain anymore. He was afraid of disobedience. Eventually, the story came out. Ethan had not fallen. He had been approached by a woman posing as a park volunteer, claiming her husband was injured off-trail. When Ethan followed her, he never saw daylight again. He was held in an underground room beneath a remote off-grid cabin owned by Marla and Owen Crick, a reclusive couple known locally for selling handmade goods and avoiding neighbors. Their belief that society had ruined men, that independence was poison, that submission was salvation. Ethan was their project. Most victims didn't. That was the twist investigators never expected. Ethan wasn't their first. He was their only survivor. Because unlike the others, he learned the rules. And one night, when Owen forgot to relock the hatch, Ethan ran. Barefoot. Broken. But alive. Police found the cabin. The cellar. The chains. The journals. Names crossed out. Dates spanning decades. The Cricks were arrested without resistance. They believed they had been chosen. Ethan testified for only 12 minutes. He never looked at them. He never cried. The jury deliberated 3 hours. Life sentences. No parole. Ethan Calder survived. But survival isn't the same as freedom. He still sleeps on the floor. Still asks permission sometimes. Still avoids forests. But he's alive. And now, so is the truth. Cases like Ethan Calder's remind us of something deeply unsettling. Evil doesn't always hide in the dark. Sometimes it blends in. Sometimes it waves politely. Sometimes it waits. If this story shook you, that means it matters. And the best way to honor victims like Ethan is to keep these stories alive. If you believe awareness saves lives, like this video. If you want more cases that expose what's hidden beneath the surface, subscribe. And if you ever think, this could never happen here, remember this story, because it already did. Let me know in the comments. Which detail disturbed you the most? Until next time, stay aware, stay curious, and never ignore the quiet warnings.